Alright guys, so we got a little geometry square root worksheet help here today. Special shout out to Dakota. Hopefully you're doing alright, man. We'll see you back in school here pretty soon. Okay, so we're simplifying these square roots. What's going to help us out a lot is if we know some of the perfect squares here. So if we have like the square root of 1, that's a pretty common one. We're not going to really use that a whole lot. Square root of 4 is going to be 2, 9 is 3, 16 is 4, 25 is 5, square root of 36 is going to be 6, 49 is 7, 64 is 8, 81 is going to be 9, 100 is 10. And we can probably do a few more here. 121 is 11, and 144 is 12. Okay, so there's just a couple, first 12 perfect squares there. One, not really useful, but we're going to be using the rest of those quite a bit. Alright, so reducing square roots. So step 1. Is it already a perfect square? 32. Not on the list. No. Okay? So step 2, what I do is I always start by dividing it by 2, and that tells me where to start looking on my list. So if I cut this in half, square root of 32 divided by 2 is going to be 16. Is 16 a perfect square? Yes. So that's the number I want to use. That was really lucky. It's not always going to work out that way, but that's what we're going to use. Okay? So 32 can break apart into 16 and 2. I'm looking for these perfect squares because I can do those. So the square root of 16 is 4. Can't do anything with the 2, so I leave it alone. Okay? Now it doesn't always work out that the first number you try is the one you're going to use. Okay? So, what about 60? If I cut 60 in half, it's 30. 30 is not a perfect square, but it at least tells me where to start. I'm right here, and I'm going to get smaller. Okay, does 25 go into 60? No. 16? No. 9? No. 4? Yes. Okay, 4 is going to break apart, or 60 is going to break apart into 4 times 15. I can do the square root of 4. It's 2. I can't do the square root of 15. I leave it alone. Okay? That's how those work here. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll try some of the a tougher one. Okay? How about 75? Okay, 75 a perfect square? No. Cut it in half. It's going to be like just under 40. So we'll start like right in here, 36 to 49. We'll start with 36. Does that go in there perfectly? No. 25? Yes. So it's going to be 25 and 3. I can do the square root of 25. Can't do the square root of 3. I leave it alone. I'm done. Okay? Let's drop on down to the bottom and do a few of these. I have 4 times the square root of 108. So I have a multiplier out in front. Okay? We're just going to leave that guy alone for a little bit. Leave him alone for a little bit. We're going to pretend he's not even there. Okay? So 108, not a perfect square. Divide it by 2, 54. Okay, so we're going to start like right in here. So now does 49 go into 108? No. 36? Yes. Okay, so I have 4, big 4 on the outside, and then 108 is going to split apart to the square root of 36 and the square root of 3. Alright, still keeping that big 4 out there. I can do the square root of 6. Now I have a big 6. Can't do the square root of 3. And then now we're going to multiply those two regular numbers together. And there we go. So when you have a number out in front, you just do the normal stuff, and then you're just going to multiply by that number at the end. right? Because I still just broke apart the 108 like I normally would. Got my answer, 6 radical 3. Okay, and then I multiply that by 4. You can multiply regular numbers with regular numbers. You can multiply square root numbers with square root numbers. You can't mix and match. Okay? Check out the back side of this one. Alright, so this is what we just talked about. You can multiply square root numbers. Alright? So how about 18 times 3? Okay, I can multiply 18 times 3. We should get 54. 30, 24, 54, yep. Okay, 54 is not a perfect square. Okay, cut it in half, 27. 27 is not a perfect square. Does 25 go in? Nope. Does 16 go in? Nope. Does 9 go in? Yes. Okay. So the square root of 9 times the square root of 6. 9 would be 3. Can't do the square root of 6. It stays. 3 times the square root of 6. Okay, there's a couple other ways you could have gone about it too. This is just the, as long as these are smaller numbers, this is going to be probably the easiest and the least amount of work. You could have separated that 18 first and then multiplied the times the square root of 3. But sometimes you'll end up making a little more work for yourself. Okay, look at 15. If you recognize one right away, like, hey, that's the square root of 9, that's a perfect square, that's 3 square root of 10. And there's really not anything left that goes into 10 to break it apart, so then you're done. Okay? So that is a possibility. If you see a perfect square, do it right away. Okay, and then we'll come on down even a little bit further here. Let's drop all the way down to the bottom. Okay, we have regular numbers and square root numbers. Alright, so you can multiply the regular numbers. 11 times 2 is going to be 22. You can multiply the square root numbers. 3 times 15, we got the square root of 45. Okay, and now we're back to some of the problems like on the front. We're just going to worry about the 45 first, then multiply it by 22. So the 45, we're going to break that apart to 9 and 5. Got our big 22 out there. The square root of 9 is 3. And then our final answer is going to be, put those two together now because they're both regular. We're going to have 66 square root of 5. Alright. So if you have regular numbers, you can multiply those times other regular numbers. If you have square root numbers, you can multiply those times square root numbers. And then after you multiply the two things together, then we're just trying to break apart the radical. And then if you have some regular numbers at the end that you can multiply together, go ahead and do that. Okay, so that's square root worksheet number 1. I'll have another video here for worksheet number 2 that involves a little bit of dividing. It's not much different. Alright, we'll see you guys later.